Hey everyone, welcome to a new video. I hope you had a great day. Let's take a look at some new I Do Work Here lady stories, shall we? The first story is called Leave a Note for the Manager. A few years ago I worked at a local historic site that did day tours as well as costumed evening events, which was what I did. After a couple of years I was trained up as a part-time manager, and after some initial anxiety really settled into the role. At this point I was small, 20 going on 21, and baby-faced even with all the makeup and the costume. We had an ongoing issue with tourists littering inside and outside the curtain walls surrounding the site. We cleaned up the litter inside, but technically anything outside was owned by the county and therefore not our responsibility. So we didn't touch it and hoped the county would actually do its job for once. Between shifts the site would look completely deserted. We locked all doors and stayed away from windows to discourage overeager visitors from taking pics or trying to force their way into the site. One day, as we were preparing to reopen for the evening, someone knocked on the front door. Thinking it was a co-worker, I got up to let them in. Instead, I opened the door to a large bag of garbage and a very angry looking local in her official high-vis vest. From her perspective, she has marched up to knock on the door of a deserted castle and been answered by a very young woman in full historical costume. Good evening, we will reopen in about 40 minutes. You have a responsibility to clean up the litter on your site. You have to dispose of this bag for me. Did you collect that inside or outside of the curtain wall? Outside. It's filthy out there. Now take this bag off me. Any land on the outside of the wall is owned by the county, and so I suggest you contact them. We are not responsible for it or any rubbish on it. Well, I need to speak to your manager. Okay, that would be me. No, not you. You're a real manager. Yes, I am the manager here tonight. Well, I need you to leave a note for the actual manager then. Leave a note for myself? No, for whoever is actually working here. Ma'am, I'm literally the only one working here right now. I can take down your name and phone number if you like, but that bag of rubbish is not our responsibility. Have a good evening. I then closed the large heavy door in her face with a very satisfying thud. I didn't accept the rubbish for two reasons. A. The county had long-term neglected the land belonging to them, and as a result, much of it was a genuine health hazard. They did cosmetic upkeep, so it looked safe, but did nothing to safeguard against long-term coastal erosion, leading to multiple injuries of visitors. Accepting responsibility for any part of it was literally a slippery slope of liability and 100% not my job. I had previously been reprimanded for thoughtlessly suggesting a visitor to take a walk around the site while they waited. B. As the new person, I wasn't going to set a precedent of re-accept bags of rubbish from rude people for the sake of me and my co-workers. When working with primarily American tourists, you quickly learn the need for hard, unmovable boundaries about what is and isn't your job. The next story is called Reverse Uno Card. So my mom works in a pizzeria which is located in the heart of Tuscany, Italy. The place is nice and cozy and offers a wide variety of food including pizza, pasta and seafood dishes. Today mom was returning from her other job. She also works as a nurse. And as per instructions given to her by my stepdad, was taking out a number of provisions which would be used in the restaurant. As she was unloading the truck by the storage facility, not far from the restaurant, two young women approached her. I'll refer to them as W1 and W2 and Mom as M. Excuse me, do you know if there are any free tables in the restaurant? Oh yes, there are. She sounds foreign. Foreigners don't work in restaurants, so she probably has no idea if there are any free tables. Actually, I do work in the restaurant and I can confirm there are free tables there. But you're foreign. How do the owners treat you? I manage. In this case, I may have an offer for you. We have a small restaurant which is 50 kilometers from here. If you need a job, here's my card. Do not hesitate to call me. So the two women went into the restaurant, and from what my mom could recall, they had a pizza and a salad along with some coke. By the time they finished their meal, they called upon the waitress, Kay, to ask for the check. May you bring the check please? That's okay, you don't need to pay for these. Excuse me? They are in the house. Compliments of the owners. Thank you. Is it possible to ask the owners to come so we can thank them personally? Certainly. Out of nowhere, Mom comes and approaches them. Greetings. You wanted to talk to me? In a moment, we are waiting for the owner. So it is me you can talk to. I am the owner. She didn't pretend to be the owner. She and my stepdad do own the place. The two women were flabbergasted. "We are so sorry about earlier. We thought..." "You thought that just because I was a foreigner, I'd be poor? Not all of us are like that. But I wanted to thank you anyway. I really appreciate the offer you gave me earlier. So if you wish, we may collaborate on future projects together. Here's my card. If I may help you with anything, do not hesitate to call me." After they left, my mom shot me a WhatsApp message saying, "You have no idea what just happened to me." We had a nice laugh over it. What I loved the most is that she played the reverse card on them and yet remained wholesome. There's a reason why she is my hero. The third story is called "Don't Mess with the Small Bouncers." I used to be a bouncer at a very busy nightclub. I was the only female because they needed someone that could legally keep an eye on the ladies' room. At the time I was 5'5", 130 pounds, and I could probably hold my own in any military physical drill if I wanted. Some really big musclehead guy came in with a giggling drunk bimbo and they tried to go into a bathroom stall together. Not just any stall, the only handicap stall. I got in front of him and stopped him from entering. He asked me what I thought I could do about it. He had not yet processed the fact that I worked there and was not just some girl upset that he was in the ladies' room. I said it didn't matter what I could do. I'd just hit my whistle and my boss George would arrive in a couple of seconds flat. He finally understood that I was deaf and scoffed. Now, because we were so busy, we had multiple bouncers. Nobody was supposed to handle a customer on their own, so we all had whistles. The big guy starts getting attitude and starts standing so close he's almost touching me, yelling at me, trying to intimidate me. I blew my whistle. I didn't know that my security manager had actually noticed the man come in and was already on his way. At that point he raised his hands to hit me. That was all I needed. I grew up on a farm and knew how to manhandle angry animals, some that were 5 times my size or more, including dogs, hogs, horses, goats, etc. I knew it is all about finding a weak spot and controlling their center of gravity. I ducked, went for a low center of balance and basically did a lovely WWE spear, taking him back about 5 feet into the wall. I then took a step back and did what I had learned to do on the farm. I looked him hard in the eyes and growled. "Don't judge, it works on farm dogs and I just did it without thinking." He stayed flat against the wall, then looked toward the exit, maybe hoping to escape. There stood my manager, leaning on the door frame and smiling. This poor man looked so defeated, knowing all the girls in the bathroom, including the one he was trying to score, and the security manager had just witnessed him getting manhandled by a tiny girl. He just looked at my boss and asked, "So, you are George?" George nodded without a word and gestured towards the door. The man left the club on his own, without raising another moment of fuss. So yeah, never mess with the small bouncers. There's a reason they were hired. The last story is called "Someone Got Arrested." I work for a law enforcement agency in a pretty wealthy area, and the people can be a bit entitled, but not all. I've worked several jobs since I finished school, like dispatcher, records department, and finally moved into my current role, which is a hybrid of IT and equipment. I do all the testing and issue reports on non-tactical and ballistic items that we use. My biggest task is the vehicles themselves. Now, currently, we are testing out backseats for the patrol cruisers. If you've ever seen one, they are generally just plastic and very uncomfortable. They aren't meant for comfort, but problems do arise due to how slippery they are. The primary goal is easy to clean up and nearly impossible for someone to try and conceal an item in the crease of cushions on a normal car. So a new vendor approached us with a new material that goes in the back. It's non-stick and has some cushioning underneath. So they install it on one vehicle and I call up the officer who handles tactical and ballistic equipment purchases to schedule testing the vehicle out. Per our city guidelines, we have to test it for a minimum of 12 hours, in addition to the testing that the manufacturer has done. So I arranged with the officer to spend part of 2 days driving around, alternating with me sitting in the back handcuffed and also him in the back not handcuffed. I was simulating the role of a detained person in custody, while the officer would be playing the role of a witness who was being transported. Also, we would get in trouble legally if I cuffed him for the simulation, so problem solved. The first day went by okay, but the complaint we both had was that it's a bit unrealistic to be sitting in the back of a car for more than 30 to 45 minutes, as it virtually never happens. Also, it's basically a yoga mat you're sitting on, but denser material, so not much padding. So on the second day I brought a pillow from home for my bag. When we were just about finished with the second day, it was around lunch and we decided to get lunch. The officer parks in front of a restaurant and lets me out and uncuffs me. I said, "Thank you, can you please get the door and we'll be off?" Unfortunately, an older woman, probably late 60s, heard this and thought I was ordering our cop around and treating him like a servant. She screamed at the top of her lungs that criminals like me don't get to order cops around, that I, obviously, must be a criminal. The officer tried to explain to her that I worked with him and it was a joke. Nope, she's not buying that, not even when I get out my ID and show her. Nope, she's convinced I'm a criminal. She calls 911 and demands that the chief come out and explain the shenanigans. Yeah, not happening. The watch commander comes out, explains it and scolds me and the officer for making jokes while in an official capacity. The woman is absolutely incredulous that we weren't going to be arrested and terminated on the spot. So of course she smacks the watch commander and demands he does his job. So someone got arrested. Thanks for watching the video, I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please consider subscribing to the channel for more content. I hope you have a great day, stay safe, bye bye.